The Senate passing a bill to reopen the government for 3 weeks. It now heads over to the House for a vote expected tonight. President Trump announcing the deal to end the 35-day partial government shutdown. The bill doesn't include wall funding, but the president vows to keep fighting for it.
Walls should not be controversial. That's why most of the Democrats in Congress have voted in the past for bills that include walls and physical barriers and very powerful fences. If we don't get a fair deal from Congress, the government will either shut down on February 15th again, or I will use the powers afforded to me under the laws and the Constitution of the United States to address this emergency.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer placing the shutdown blame on President Trump.
Hopefully now the president has learned his lesson. We cannot ever hold American workers hostage again. We helped make it clear to the president, to the public, that the president was the one in charge of the shutdown.
And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying once the government is back open, she's willing to work with the president to set a date for the State of the Union. So, Jesse, we are back to where we began before the shutdown even started. So now there's 3 weeks to go.
Yeah. Well, thank God it's over right now. I think Trump lost the battle, so he's got to win the war. He's got to get something out of an emergency declaration. And if he doesn't get something done there, he has to flip the House in 2020.
You think he will do a national emergency declaration?
Yeah, because I still think they're too far apart. So he's got to do the national emergency. He's got to get reelected. So then maybe he has more of a mandate, more political capital to get the wall funding. But at this point, the last shutdown was the Schumer shutdown, and that was perfectly teed up for the president because Schumer was protecting illegal immigrants over veterans getting paid. This dynamic was totally different because the president took ownership of the shutdown, and then it was the border wall funding versus American federal workers getting paid, and that really wasn't a very good dynamic for him, and Pelosi just obstructed and the media helped her, so she just waited him out. 5 weeks later, and people didn't get paid, and there's no border wall. So where do we stand? I don't know. It just seems like the airplane situation, the callous statement from the Commerce Secretary, the FBI director coming out and saying reopen this thing, that was what cranked up the pressure in order for the president to change gears.
So I think sometimes leaders have to do that, right? They have to say, okay, well, this isn't working. We're going to have to switch gears.
What he said. He lost the battle, but the war's still going. Look, okay, this is tiresome, it's boring, and it's infuriating. And it's frustrating because this isn't just pure politics. This is a petulant reaction to a phenomenon, right? Walls are normal. We have walls. They'd be willing to spend more money than he's actually asking for. So it's not about immigration at all. It's about Trump. And Trump, whether you like him or you hate him, he's the phenomenon of the last 2 years that has created this kind of animosity, right? These people, I don't see any compromise coming in this because if the Dems compromise, the media will just rip them to shreds. This is a personal vendetta against Trump. They're putting security and they're putting the government employees to the side in favor of their own personal hatred of Trump. That's why I find it so boring and so tiresome because I know this isn't going to change. We're going to get we're going to get 2 more years, possibly 6 more years of this.
And I wanted to ask you, Dan, so we're back where we were before.
Right.
Does the president's supporters not do him any favors by pushing him into fights that he can't possibly win?
No, because he can win this. I have 2 points on this. First, I thought Schumer handled that awfully. Nancy Pelosi clearly understood she had to toe the middle on that while giving that press conference. Schumer came off like a total snake. You know, Trump capitulates to some of the Democrats' demands and comes to the table, opens up the government. And what does Schumer do? He comes out and twice repeats the point, we taught you, well, you learned the lesson. There was no need for that. I think the president
you don't need to be a sore winner.
No, the president should pull that deal off the table right now and say, good luck, Chuck. Knock it out on your own now. And the second point is, listen, politics is all about a political bank account, right? And I don't mean money. I mean building political capital. The president now has 3 weeks to race to the finish line to get a deal his base can really coalesce around. You know, it wasn't a great day today for the president. It wasn't a great day for the Dems either.
But if he doesn't do that and he does national emergency, then you think the base will be fine with that?
I'm not a huge fan of the national emergency plan. I'm always afraid of centralizing power in government in any office, even when it's a Republican president, and I refuse to be a hypocrite on that. But having said that, the Congress did delegate him that power, and it would be legal to do it. I don't agree with it, but it is there.
It's an option.
And his base, you know, may in fact like something like that. And by the time he builds a lot of that wall, by the way, and it makes it through the courts, he could build a whole boatload of wall before it even gets there.
Well, and the re-election will have been completed by then.
Likely.
Marie, the president even said in the Rose Garden today, we don't need 2,000 miles of a concrete wall. I've already said that. Like, the Democrats have already voted for barriers. Like, so really, what are we fighting over at this point?
Well, I think Donald Trump, or at least his political team, saw what happened in the Senate yesterday. That Mitch McConnell, I think, was very shrewd in putting forward both bills and demonstrating to the president that his plan had fewer votes, actually, than essentially what they ended up passing today. A CR to fight over this for a few more weeks. You know, the president, yesterday at this time, the White House was saying, we will do a CR for 3 weeks with a very large down payment. Well, the president agreed to do that with no down payment today. So he, I think, saw the political writing on the wall that for the Oval Office address and all of the way he's been messaging this, the numbers haven't really moved and he's been getting blamed. I actually think that given the fact that Democrats feel like they won this round, they will feel empowered to make possibly a compromise. So something like I said yesterday, let's say $5 billion that includes barriers where experts say they're needed. And the president today talking about an expert sort of group. Yeah. I liked that too. I think that's like some sort of commission. I think
that was Greg's idea.
No, I stole that from Scott Adams.
It's a Gutfeld plan.
That was a Scott Adams idea that I stole.
But I think the Democrats may feel a little bit empowered to say, okay, now we are going to compromise on this if we get DACA, if we get TPS. I also think the other lesson I took from this, Nancy Pelosi is someone that I have underestimated as a Democrat. I wanted someone else to be Speaker. I underestimated her ability to win the rollback, and I underestimated her ability to go toe-to-toe with Trump. And she showed him that things are different in Washington now. And that's what it's going to be like.
You know what? Because
she showed strength here.
Totally non-sexist. They're both workhorses. They're old workhorses. They're both similar in age, right? She's been around. He's been around. Bam. But you said, what are they fighting for? You know what it is? It's like the ugly vase in a divorce. No, when they were married, nobody wanted the vase, right? That's what immigration is. So nobody wants to talk about it. You know, that's the ugly vase. And then they get in a fight, and it's like they're fighting over the. They don't even like the vase, but they're going to fight over it, even though it's not a big deal. But I do think, to the point that you brought up about the panel of experts and engineers, this objective group, is a step forward, which means for the war, it could win. He could win this using that as a weapon.
I volunteer to be one of the experts on that panel. What's so funny?
Well, I mean, what could go wrong there?
I'm Waters, and this is my wall.
Oh, God. No.